I love a bit of Why Not in my life, and why not watch him again today? Because Team Bliss are going up against the likes of Kanga. What's so funny, huh? Skimmy?
Nothing, mate.
You're just so happy.
Don't worry about me, mate. Worry about yourself.
He's just always happy. This man, sometimes it's a little bit, I think he's talking behind my back. I get a little bit worried about it. But look, let's talk to Kanga first for the matchup. Let's see what they're going to be able to do today, and let's see who they're bringing into the game. Same as yesterday, as far as I'm aware. And look, low-key, Reeler really impressed me yesterday, but it was all thanks to Kurak, who we got to have the interview with. Now, Max, talk me through this team and how they're going to be able to take it to Bliss today if they have that chance.
Well, that is a very tall ask here, but Mac, I think the secret lies in kind of what you just mentioned in Kurak in this bot lane. I think that they were the kind of key drivers of their success versus Mammoth yesterday. Had a very impressive performance on both the Zillion and the center of the game after. So this is really a point of interest for me in this bot lane. Obviously, they're going up against the likes of Violet and Scott, a very powerful bot lane in their own right. But I really think that these pocket picks, these maybe potential surprises that they can bring out, could catch Bliss off guard and could be an avenue for them to pursue.
Absolutely lovely. And look, the difference between that and today is going to be the fact that Mammoth, may not have as good of a draft strategy as a team like Bliss. So even though Kanga was able to get a very solid bot lane yesterday, maybe with what Team Bliss saw, that might change up today and there might just be less opportunity, Skimmy.
Certainly maybe, because I feel like Why Not hit that new peak potential is back-to-back performances on the brand were sublime, and in that second game especially did the most damage in the entire game, which was a big ask, but ultimately was strong enough to deliver on that front. I feel like Harry was certainly also one to deliver and demonstrate why he deserves to be considered the best in the mid lane position right now for the region. Some pop-off performances on this Akali as well as the Yone, right? So I'm thinking there's definitely avenues in which Bliss can look to say there's no chance in hell, Kanga, that you're going to contest us, but certainly to the point that Max raised about the bot lane. I would love to see them look to try and up the ante and say, Violet and Scott, we've got something in store to really catch you guys off guard, because I feel like there's certainly one that had a bit of fun yesterday, right? Violet was certainly targeting a lot of these fights. It is the life of an AD carry after all, but when given an opportunity, nearly snagged himself a pentakill in the end, right? So certainly one that you cannot forget about.
That bot lane, man, it's just so scary. Violet and Scott have been doing work, and then they're enabled by everyone else around them. Especially that guy. He's not even playing half the time. He's just looking in the mirror, just getting ready to what to do post-game. I feel like he hasn't had any impact. He's just got those inflated stats, but look, that's conversation for another time. And mate, what's that face? Stop doing faces, Skimmy. You're throwing me off, man. Anyway, let's look at the jungle champ pool, because that's apparently really important. Max, I'm going to throw this to you because I'm done with Skimmy.
Yep, good idea. Well, the jungle champion pool is pretty big, is I think the kind of picture that we're wanting to paint here. You can see that Invictus, when it came into the league, obviously this is a little bit swayed by the total number of games that each of these players has played, but basically either of them have a wide range of off-meta picks that they are willing to bring out. You can see Invictus there, Rengar, Kha'Zix, the ones that immediately jump to mind as these ones that are out of left field, but certainly that he is willing to try. And then Why Not, on the other hand, always a pioneer, always one to watch other regions very closely, particularly high elo solo queue in those regions and find these jungle picks as they're emerging, right? One of the earliest players to pick up the brand in his solo queue, one of the earliest players to get onto things like the Kiana in the jungle as well. So he is certainly capable of playing this huge range of champions. And what that means is that jungle in the draft is so wide open.
I think the problem is with a couple of these picks is because Why Not, he's that Kha'Zix main, right? He taught me a few things about Kha'Zix that I didn't know. We also, that Rengar pick that came through. Was it the grand final when he picked that one and then went ham?
I forget when it was, but it was like a tank Rengar from memory, wasn't it? Yeah, it's really annoying.
It was something cool, but playing a champ that your opponent is really good at sometimes can backfire because they can be in your brain. And that's something that Invictus is going to have to think about today. And we got him on the line to pick his brain as well. Invictus, mate, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm great, mate. I'm great. You're looking swell. Now, are you excited for today's game? Of course, you're going to be jungling up against the likes of Why Not. We just had a look at the difference in the champ pools that you've played so far in competitive League of Legends. And I just want to get your take on that. You haven't had a chance to probably show off your pool as deep as it gets, but it's bigger than just 6 champs at the moment, right?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to versing Why Not. He's like one of the junglers that actually plays more than like Vi and shit. Oh, swearing, my bad. But yeah, he plays a lot, so yeah.
Yeah, he plays a lot. And look, we're allowed to swear occasionally on this show. It's fucking fine. Don't worry. I'll take your fine, mate. Skimmy, any questions for the big man?
Any questions from me? Yeah, well, I mean, obviously yesterday you played back-to-back games for the Udia. You're an absolute titan because you ran in 1v5 and still just walked away, so I'm still blown away by that performance. But why the decision to go Udia in the jungle? Obviously, we saw it be so annoying in the top lane. Was it always a consideration to bring it into jungle?
Yeah, Ro kind of cooked it. We would pick it early and I'd think it's top lane, so he would get a good matchup for it and we'd just take it jungle, so he would get counterpick top, so the game was just a lot easier. And I like Udia because it like matches my playstyle, so yeah, it was a good cook from Ro.
Yeah, sweet as. Awesome.
What about you, Max?
I mean, speaking of cooking, you guys also cooked a fair bit towards that bot lane in the support role. I just wanted to get your take kind of more generally as to how you guys do approach draft as a team with so many players who have these unique picks.
Yeah, drafting is definitely hard. We have to go through like a million drafts for like 3 hours trying to get like the right draft. It is a bit hard with our champion pools, but we get to somewhere eventually.
That's always good. It's always good to sort of try to figure it out, work with what you've got, and that's good to see. Now, one more from me before we let you go. How's the calling structure work with your team? Like, who's taken the main shot calling role? Is that you? Is that someone else?
Definitely early game, it's like me just like hard out for like straight 10 minutes, like UAV on enemy jungler. But I kind of like die down because I'm like exhausted, and then it's like, it's just mainly like Ruben and stuff. Free.
Well, look, well, hopefully you'll be able to keep track of Why Not, because he's a very slippery individual. But good luck today, mate. You're going to need it.
He is a bit slippery. Thank you.
Have
good
a chat
interview.
with him. Yeah, solid interview.
Nice
Well
chat.
spoken,
Yeah.
which is, you know, I was very impressed with. Thank you, Invictus, for that one. But look, and it didn't sound like there was a lot of confidence, especially, you know, that was good to get the insight that their champ pools sort of misalign a little bit for the draft, so they have to really work on the draft. But maybe it's also working on, you know, in the scrims, trying to work outside of what you're comfortable of in terms of your champs. You know, when you're playing in the big leagues, you really have to expand those champ pools, listen to the meta, you know, try to do what those that are, you know, more achieved than you also do, and you'll maybe be able to work your own style into that. That's just my takeaway from that. Max, do you like Scott?
Yeah, he's alright.
No, he's all right. Well, he's here. Scott, apparently you're all right. You're not
I'm
good.
kidding, I love him.
Oh, okay, good. You're good, Scott. You're
Max
good.
was
How you
alright.
feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Honestly, after yesterday, I'm honestly feeling more nervous versus Kanga than Antic. I don't know why, but I feel more pressure when I'm versing like the lower seeded teams, if anything. Yeah, I'm just excited for this game.
Yeah, beautiful. You know, the excitement's good. Is it one of those things where if a team's a little bit less known, you don't really know what they're going to pull out because they haven't really got that fully defined playstyle?
Yeah, I mean we can't really expect anything from them, right? Because I mean I've been the underdog before, and when I'm the underdog, I want to show like a wild card, right? And also it's just like obviously there's more. I feel like there's more pressure to just 2-0. I like the best of 2 system because you can't just win one game, right? You have to win both. So just have to commit to just being them as hard as we can instead of, I don't know what happened in that GZ game, but they were just that was just the ride. That was just the roller coaster.
Yeah, beautiful. I'm glad you were watching along. Skimmy, man?
Yeah, it really was a roller coaster. But talking about your guys' series, obviously with playoffs secured, is there any kind of need or desire from you or the coaching staff to try and, you know, be a little bit more experimental now, try out some new things to make sure it's, you know, stage ready for the playoffs?
I mean, I guess we're always trying new things. I think our team, one of our like things that we'd like to do is every week we want to add something new to our arsenal. I guess like in terms of like comp or like macro, etc. So we're always adding something new every week. But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see what kind of picks happen in today's draft and next week's draft. But yeah, we are working on new things all the time.
Yeah, awesome. Sweet.
Oof, love to hear that. Love to hear that, Max.
Speaking of drafts a little bit, we spoke with Invictus before and he said it's kind of hard to draft as a team when they have so many weird pocket picks and unique champion pools. How is drafting against a team like Kanga when you're trying to prepare for that?
Yeah, I guess I'm terrified of the, you know, Arela, Felios, correct Pike, like Referee auction. Like, I don't know. I'm not terrified. Okay, I was just joking when I say I'm terrified, but like they have like these picks, right, that like are unconventional, and I do think it's like harder to draft versus those teams, because you don't know what to expect, right? But yeah, I mean it's gonna be exciting anyway. Like I hope they do something spicy.
Look, hopefully they get spicy. Hopefully you boys get spicy. Show something creative that you've been working on. But look, Scott, we're going to let you go. Congratulations for the interview yet again. We're going to keep congratulating everyone for joining us on the interview.
Oh, God.
Yeah, anything you want to say to all your fans pre-game?
To the fans, I guess. To my 2 fans, like thank you very much for supporting me. I'm going to get really good.
Max is one of them.
And I'm getting really good every week, so just, yeah, keep your eyes on me. I'll play well.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Love to hear it. Scott, mate, thanks for coming, and good luck in the game.
Thank you.
I don't know what is in their Bliss contract, but it almost feels like they're contractually obligated to say, why not 10?
Oh, yeah, they are.
Why not send him, you know...
He doesn't gank if you don't say it.
He's like,
maybe it's the tax.
Gank, why not 10 on the Bliss shop? That's apparently it. And look, if other orgs had shops as well with codes, start saying them so we know what else to throw your way so you can get that good merch going, you know, and then you can wear like jungle, Nidalee, safe for work cosplay stuff like me. Let's get your Twitch points in, huh? Where are you going to put them? Where's it going? Where's this game going, huh? Game up.
Where is it going, Mac?
Oh, wait, side select. Sorry, I'm looking the wrong way. Oh, no, we're going up. It's not side select yet. We're doing Twitch points. Get them in. Let us know how you think this is going to go. Give us your prediction so far. You're doing pretty good. I think you guys got some points before.
He's lost the plot, mate.
I'm losing the plot, mate. I'm going everywhere. I'm going around here, and I'm going down here because we got 2. Whoa, we got a red side pick. Bliss, they're changing it up.
Okay.
We love it. We love to see it.
Double red side.
This is spicy. They're loving the counter pick, I think, and it's winning them games, man. It's winning them games, Max. Do you think that's what they're focusing on the most?
I don't know, Mac. Honestly, look, to me, it's weird because they go red side, and then the counter picks that they pick aren't even like these dominant win lane, win game counter picks. It's more so that the fact that they really allow their jungler to have a nice read on the draft before he picks his champion. I think that's kind of what they're going for, right? You play these first 3 picks very standard, and then why not gets to play whatever weird pick he wants on 4 or even 5, you know, if it has to drop that far. So I think it just adds to the volatility and kind of unpredictability that this team brings in draft.
Yeah, well, we'll see if that rings true. It makes sense, right? You know, they were a little bit cautious about how Kanga's going to draft, but then Kanga was also a little bit worried about their own draft. So who knows? The draft's going to be more spicy than the game, maybe. I guess we'll see. Probably more spicy than our predictions. Of course, Bliss just dominated Antic yesterday, and when I say dominated, that's a overemphasis, of course. It wasn't a domination. It was a close game. It was a great game. But knowing that you're taking down the big dogs in the league, and Kanga still not quite that far up the ladder speaks volumes for the most part, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, no. Kanga's still searching for that first series win. They've managed to get a couple of games, but that's about it, really. So, as I said at the top of the show, I just think at this point, Bliss don't drop a single game from here on out. I feel like they're just now looking to try out different things, be it new champions, different side selections, get themselves comfortable with every kind of possibility going into the BO3 and BO5. So I think you'd be a little bit daft to go anything but a 2-0 in their favor.
About you, Max, what's the justification other than everything we already said?
Skibby kind of said it perfectly, right? I just think in terms of individual player skill, in terms of overall player skill, in terms of team composition and drafting, they beat them in every single facet of the game. Yes, they can bring out something unique, but I think that also Bliss have the best players at kind of being able to adapt to that as well with the experience that they bring. So I don't really see an angle for Kanga to take a game, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, maybe the angle's bot lane, maybe the angle's coming from somewhere else, but, you know, with the limited selection and the fact that Bliss are working something on in the background, what do you think that spicy pick is that Why Not's thinking about?
Maybe if Wasabi was a champion, probably pick that one.
Spicy Wasabi.
Spicy
Otherwise,
Mami, maybe?
Spicy Kindred.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely a player who's likely to bust out like a Kindred on a 4, You know what? Honestly, I think that he's the type of player to just pick a Kha'Zix out of disrespect for Invictus. I feel like he would just do that, be like, here's your champion who you love, or a Rengar for that matter, and I'm going to just throw it back in your face and do it even better. So, look, I would say something out of Invictus's champion pool is my bet.
I feel like if we're going down that avenue, we're going to start seeing some more Google pop-ups, aren't we, as to
Whoa.
Google learn to play Kha'Zix.
Huh? Sorry. I got to go down this avenue because...
Where are you going?
Ready.
He's gone. And we're into draft. It's easy as that. What a segue. I tell you what, you just never know what
He's
to
good,
expect.
isn't
You just never quite know. Kanga, though, on the blue side for both games in tonight's BO2. They're going to better away to Yone, Akali, as well as the brand. Everything we saw from Bliss last night, gone.
Yeah, interestingly, no Varus going to be taken off the board just yet. It will be the Azir first pick, so really prioritizing the safety that has in the mid lane with the Yone and Akali taken away. You're kind of removing two of the biggest counters that want to be able to kill that pick in and out of lane phase, but of course it will be answered with the Varus, which we have seen just absolutely kind of be unstoppable in this bot lane when it really gets going. Particularly the lethality build has just snowballed every single laning phase, taking over completely, and it will be paired with Hayri on an Orianna.
So it will be the 18th game now, the Varus, the most played AD carry by a fair margin. Nobody really even comes close. That actually could be said for the Azir with 12 games of that champion played too. So certainly picking the top of the table when it comes to what's working and strong in Season 14. But the Orianna, I mean, you just had to imagine when it's piloted by Harry, it's going to have some pretty devastating effects. Kanga, however, though, are going to look to try and run it back with a style of, if we have the Milio, we cleanse out of any potential wombo that could stem from that Varus's chains of corruption. And with the Aphelios and Azir sitting in the back line, they have a lot of damage from afar.
Yeah, lots of damage from afar, lots of scaling as well, right? Providing this Aphelios and Azir, if they get towards the late game, they will be able to absolutely tear through the Team Bliss frontliners. However, it will be the Bard actually picked up from Kurak here, so this is quite interesting. You don't often see this blind Bard adaptation unless the player is very competent in the pick, but definitely signals to me that he's wanting to get active on the map. He's wanting to link up with his teammates and kind of create that playmaking by himself, which, to be honest, given those last two games, I would say is quite the smart decision, right? He looked so good when he was able to pull that trigger, so why not do it again?
And it rings true for the series they had up against Ion. If you remember that one where we had Akshan in the mid lane from Fury, they ran an Aphelios Bard bot lane in that occasion into that of a Zyra Khan. So a clear direction to say that we feel confident enough that this is the play, and that I can then offer assistance on the Great Roam between all these different lanes to try and help snowball my other teammates. But a Nautilus comes out as a response, so a very aggressive one to say that if you do go for a Roam Bard, the Aphelios will just simply be dead.
Yeah, Nautilus a very punishing champ for basically any single support or AD character to deal with. That Dredgeline landing combined with a Varus and all the damage that he provides onto that CC target will almost always be a kill. So this is kind of the common thread that we've been seeing with when enchanters are picked early in the draft, is you kind of just slam a Nautilus and say, okay, yes, you will win the lane if it all plays out perfectly how you want it to, but if I land a single hook, I can completely turn that around. And that kind of risk versus reward is a situation that a lot of teams have been opting into recently. But Team Bliss, heading to this ban phase, will take away the Riven and take away the Rengar. So two kind of fringe champions that need to be banned as a kind of respect to the players on Kanga.
Yeah, certainly at this stage, I feel like both teams, having witnessed what we just saw in that previous series, aren't going to take any risks of allowing any of these kind of pocket picks to slip through the cracks and get their chance to shine and showcase that they can truly 1v9 in a competitive environment. So once that all settles, we decide, okay, what is going to be left for the counter pick that Team Bliss really want to try and prioritize? You're still looking at a top laner, you're still looking at a jungler. And would it be as simple as saying that Why Not does want that counter pick? Usually it's Bio that's quite keen just to lock in any champion, quite comfortable with any matchup. Not covering anything at the moment, and I'm really left wondering.
We will have to wait and see. It looked like there may have been a remake we have just heard that will be taking place. So yet to see what that fourth and, well, not final, but fourth pick will be from this side of Bliss. Like you mentioned, kind of has been the thread that BioPanther is willing to just slam a pick wherever, but he also, you know, potentially could be looking for a counter pick into Woodon, because when Bio is actually given the very rare opportunity to play something more carry-oriented, like that Aatrox that we saw from him earlier, he looks absolutely fantastic.
He certainly does. Then it feels, not dismissive, but it feels a little bit let down when it's, a case of, hey, just lock in the blind Cassandre here. That's going to be your job. Let me get the counter pick, because we know that he certainly can carry. Certainly when we had the meta where it was Tryndamere in the top lane, right? It was Biopen slamming that one and absolutely crushing it and sort of dispelling the myth that, hey, I am not just, your average tank player. So I am curious to see. We've certainly heard in the past from other players when they've got into the matchup against Wood, they said he's got a very limited champion pool, and that can certainly be exploited, and hence you don't need to really worry too much about a counter pick. I feel like they've generally had the consensus that it's Jax, Cassandre, as well as Aatrox. Oh, he's had a game here and there on the Gnar as well as the Renekton, but I think that's a major advantage going into that draft to know that, hey, we don't need to really worry about this too much because I can just pick X champion that's going to tick all these boxes.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about Bio, is he's always the reliable one, always the one that you can kind of forget about, for better or for worse, right? You can see that his teammates often love to play towards that bot side of the map to enable Violet, who we know is just so powerful once he gets ahead, and we'll be looking to do the same here on this Varus. Varus, a champion who loves to push, loves to be able to harass the enemy underneath their turret, and especially with the Nautilus into Bard support matchup, it will be incredibly volatile towards that bot side of the map. So we'll have to wait and see what Why Not does go towards for the jungler, but I would imagine it's something that can capitalize on all of the CC that his team already has available.
Yeah, whether or not he wants to go for the aggressive damage route with the likes of Brand and Lilia already taken away, or perhaps try and navigate towards a champion like the Vi or even the Poppy, right? Giving themselves a very solid sense of engage and ability to control and dictate the terms on which they decide to go for that fight. But I wouldn't put it past him to say, you know what, I do want to try and carry. We've got enough CC already locked on in. I just need to be a delivery system to give Harry another avenue of which you could say, you're my shockwave target. Time to hit a triple kill.
Yeah, and we know how devastating those shockwaves can be. Seeing yesterday multiple times, just even a couple members being caught in a shockwave can be fight winning. So Harry, certainly a player who can par that champion. It'll be interesting to see how he does in that 1v1 mid matchup versus Ryu Fury on that Azir. We know that Ryu on that Azir is something he prioritizes quite heavily. So he's very familiar with the champion, but also prone to getting caught off. He often goes for plays when he shouldn't on the Azir because he feels so confident in his 1v1 mechanical ability that he's kind of a bit blinded to the macro sense. So we'll see how he does against such a formidable lane opponent like Harry.
Yeah, I mean, it's a valid point given the situation last night, right? The matchup into Dajong, there's a few times, especially in the Akali versus the matchup, where he was stuck underneath the tower, and it looked a little bit uncharacteristic at the best of times, and you're thinking, well, surely it's time to bounce back. But between last night and tonight, it's just the Azir simulation, if you will, and you're really hoping, above all else, that his computer's been fixed, right? The FPS issues that he's probably having to persevere through, having used his brother's one, you're thinking, surely you can bounce back to your best form when it really matters, because, once again, this is a team that is still searching for a win. They've only got, 2 points to their name, sat in 6th spot at the moment. They're not confident by any stretch of the imagination when they look at that leaderboard and say, Mammoth are just below us with 1 point, Direwolves have nothing. Any point could literally be the difference maker here.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, we talk a lot about the schedules that all these teams have remaining, but getting even one win, like you said, 1 point can be the difference between playoffs and not at this stage, right? And that's all you can really hope for, game by game, going into it and trying to make something of it. Obviously, Bliss is very much an uphill battle for Kanga to take on, but we know that this team is resilient. We know that this team is willing to turn around things between games and even between weeks. So hopefully coming into this game, they have learned from their previous mistakes. We know playing around that bot lane seems to work so well for them, and I hope they can replicate it again today.
Hopefully they can, and hopefully we can jump back into this draft in not too long a time. No ETA, unfortunately, at this stage, as we wait for that lobby to be remade. But a few of those champions were locked on in. I guess we can sort of return to some of the talking points of that, with a lot of those pocket picks denied, especially the likes of the Lilia as well as the Rengar as well. So if there are going to be any crazy shenanigans, do you think it was to be left to the very last minute? Like, surely you're not doing a 5th pick Kha'Zix. That would seem far too crazy.
I wouldn't put anything past either of these teams at this point, to be honest. I would say that looking at, what little we have of the draft so far, I think that you definitely could throw something in there for the side of Bliss. I think that you have enough kind of stability with the core that you've already created, because it very is much like a control mage mid. Orianna's going to be able to get the push, You have a bot lane who brings a lot of CC. That's kind of one of the major limiting factors of jungle picks, is the CC of your team comp, right? Quite often the jungler will have to pick to be that snap engage, to be that person who's pulling the trigger. But because you have a Varus Nautilus already on the team, you don't necessarily have to be able to be that kind of Vi or like Lee Sin who's finding a massive engage. So it kind of takes the weight off and allows Why Not to potentially explore some of these carry picks that we know he's very keen to pull out.
He certainly will be quite keen to pull out, and I'm sure there's a bit of a weight lifted off their shoulders. I know Scott half memeing in the interview, but for the most part feeling maybe a little bit nervous because it's, yeah, I mean, you've had this hotly anticipated matchup, the one that we've both coined the match of the split thus far, but now it's the case of your players are secure, you're top of the league. Don't get complacent now. It's a chance for you to try and showcase some new stuff, but maybe that's at the same time a case for the opposition to really upset the odds. We're finally back into the draft. Thank you so much for your patience. Let's continue where we left off. So we lock in the likes of the Riven, the Lilia, and the Rengar bands again. And then we were left in limbo with Bliss's pickup, figuring out, was there going to be a blind pick for Biopanther, or were we going to get the jungler locked in right there?
Yeah, we will find out here. Luckily, they've had a lot of time to think about it, hopefully, and it looks like it's going to be the blind Cassante. So, like you suggested, Biopanther is very happy to take that matchup blind into the top lane. Doesn't really care what he's going to be playing against. I'd leave this 5th pick for Why Not. Now, the answer from Woodon, he loves to go towards this Gnar. Very nice matchup into the Cassante. You can kind of just win the lane softly by just outranging him, outpacing him. He can never really get on top of you because of how much mobility you have from your hyper and your hop as well. So that will be locked in, and now it's the jungler. You have to imagine that there's a lot of thought behind this from Invictus. Whatever he's going to be picking, he knows will be counterpicked. What does he go towards with this 5th pick?
And would it be something unique and new? Because that is the question that we've all been asking ourselves. With the likes of as Aatrox denied by himself, would it be a chance for him to showcase that I can play you know, something different here as well? The Udyr comes on out. Well, that basically confirms that now there is going to be no more flexing around. And a chance to showcase what they can do with this Gnar. So let's see then. What is this hotly anticipated jungle pick that we've basically built up this entire day around? Talking about full clear, talking about ganking junglers, talking about the polar opposites as to what they both did yesterday. As the dust settles, we've gone for a reset with the Viego.
Yeah, so interesting. Viego's a champion we haven't really been seeing a heap of on this current patch, just basically because he doesn't really do as well as the other junglers in a pure fight, like just in a pure 1v1 situation. But what he does very, very well is pair with his laners and gank very, very well. You can see this bot lane is going to be so nice. It's setting up for this Viego to come in and get resets. Also, the Cassante available to do the very same thing. So he's got a lot of CC behind him to make sure he can actually get those first resets. And then once he does, once he's picking up these bodies, he will just be taking over the fight. So why not, instead of kind of going the full selfish carry route with something like a Kindred who just wants to permanently farm, look for aggressive invades, he's saying he wants to link up, he wants to skirmish, and he wants to get bloody early.
He certainly does, and it's definitely a champion that is quite feast or famine. We've certainly seen times where Viego falls behind and they end up doing less damage than a support, finishing the game sometimes as low as, what, 4k damage. So it's definitely a champion where you need to be very astute with your understanding of where to go at what given time, find those resets. Then not only that, but then be able to confidently pilot the champion you've just gained possession of. So it's a unique champion in that we've not seen too much of it this season, but certainly in the LCO seasons gone by, it was the cream of the crop. It was the go-to, and even hit a point where we had Viego Lissandra as a pairing, and it was a case of all in at all costs to get that kill and get the ball rolling with those resets.
Yeah, definitely a scary champion to come online once it starts picking up those bodies. But on the other hand, we have a comp from Kanga that is kind of pretty standard around the board, right? Nothing too out of the ordinary there. The Udyr jungle kind of the biggest shake-up. But Invictus, he mentioned it in his interview, it's very comfortable for him. It fits his playstyle because he just loves to farm. He loves to come into these team fights ahead on items, ahead on XP, and take over like that. And to be honest, it looked very good yesterday versus Mammoth, but Team Bliss is a completely different beast. Will he be able to do his full clear undisturbed, or will Why Not get active in his face? Yet remains to be seen, but we will find out in game 1.
And we certainly will. Finally, we get ourselves into the action for our second series of the night, the final one of the night. It is a best of two with a team already locked in Bliss. Looking to clean sweep it for the rest of the remaining games. And as for Kanga, any point would be so sorely desired with only 2 to the name so far. That 6th and final playoff spot is not looking secure whatsoever. So it's time to see what they can do as we get this game underway.
There's a couple fleet footwork enthusiasts over at Kanga. You can see basically everyone except Invictus taking the rune, opting for that laning sustain that it provides them. And the Halo Blades, on the other hand, for Violet. So looking towards that lethality build on this Varus here. So powerful against this Aphelios and Azir. And this has always been one of the big issues with those champions into the Varus is, yes, they're fantastic at hitting you. Yes, they provide a lot of DPS. But can you actually get in range with a suitable health bar? And that's what Violet is going to be trying to prevent here. Is Bliss also looking to prevent Invictus from starting his jungle clear without being harassed. They're going into the red. Raptors, rather, going to force Invictus off this camp. So a nice little heads up level 1 play is going to secure Team Bliss an early lead.
And we've seen how devastating this can be if executed properly, and the opposition don't know really how to respond to the situation. The most prominent example that rings to mind would be Swiper when he invaded as the Maokai. Completely destroyed the enemy jungle's path. They had no way back into the game. And certainly those first 10 minutes were a bit of a living nightmare. Now this really does set him up on a pretty strong start here, where he can then go back to his own side of the jungle, pick up literally everything that it has to offer, and then naturally path towards bot lane, where you're expecting everything to really kick off.
Yeah, and a nice little adaptation there from Wonded as well, right? Shows on vision, makes it very clear what his path is. He doesn't really care if Invictus or the rest of Kanga know where he's going. They can kind of assume from the fact that he starts that Raptor camp and doesn't want it to be traded back. What this means is that Udyr won't hit level 4 off of that first clear, which is quite important, right? We talked about how much Invictus and Udyr as a champion love to get that full clear off on repeat. He won't be able to do that until he gets the Scuttle Crab once that's spawned. So just a quick little adaptation. It's not the most monumental thing, but Scott takes a wild hook in.
Yeah, he spread the needle on that one, hit the terrain, and then turned around and gone for the passive thereafter. And quite honestly, the HP trade has actually worked in Kanga's favor. Not only that, they've also got the Bard heals to look forward to, which is the luxury that Refury does not. I tell you, this may be the worst start that he could have imagined, because Harry, from the very get-go, has just said, this is how this lane's playing out. Even if we are scaling control mages, this early game pressure is going to be unrelenting.
And he stays skimmy. This is dangerous. He's got no pots left, and we know Harry is very willing to harass on the turret here, so keep your eye on mid lane here. It will be very volatile as he goes to collect these minions. But laning against Harry really is just a different beast for a lot of these mid laners here, right? You can see he's teasing the flash here with the flash Q, W auto. Just doesn't have the damage with the level up, but Refury already getting shown what it's like to lane against one of the best.
Certainly is, and honestly, I don't feel like Harry is under any real great pressure to force that flash, force his hand. He knows that he's already in a winning position, and whilst it's not a gold, experience advantage in that regard, he's won the lane outright just by holding it in suspension, as you can see right there. The longer that Refu agrees to this teleport, the worse it gets, and it's going to really impact Invictus's already poor start, so it's a twofold affair. And Why Not also comes back, says, I know the exact respawn time of that Raptor camp, I took it, and I'll look to try and claim it again.
Yeah, nice little retake attempt there from Why Not. The crucial thing that means it won't go over, though, is that teleport coming through, as well as the fact that Invictus had already based, right? He's got the Dark Seal and Boots over Why Not, who just now will be going back to pick up his first item. So a nice little attempt, but warded off nicely by Kanga. But already, Skimmy, you can see that the CS leads in mid and bot lane for the side of Team Bliss have amounted in a 500 gold lead at just 4 minutes into the game. So Team Bliss already showing the caliber of play they are in this laning phase.
So they are, and it really is business as usual for them. It's a fantastic start for Violet here, who, with the Halo Blades and the Ghost Flash setup, just wants to really stand and deliver and make sure that the optimal uptime is there, especially into a very nimble team. I think that's going to have a lot more value as the game progresses, especially into the Udyr. As the fight takes place and Kurak is burning, the Ignite is ticking, and the Flash was perfect to dodge out that piercing arrow. Well, for sure we would have seen at the 5-minute mark our very first blood.
Yeah, perfect flash there from the Kurak. He knows that that's the only time he can dodge the piercing arrow without that heal to come through because of the Ignite, it would have been certainly fatal. We can already see how, strong this Nautilus is into get this Bard, and Invictus quite strong into Why Not now as well.
So in the air, he's taking out 1v1, but it's a case of who can rotate over quicker, and Invictus is so low, flashing for the auto attack. The shield is deceiving, the turtle is good, and Harry's gonna fall on down. Re-Fury, for what was such a poor laning phase, has been completely bailed out here, and the 2v2 mid-jungle has gone completely sideways.
Kanga makes something out of nothing there. Invictus just is the bully onto Why Not, forces him off the grubs and runs him down. And it's 2 quick kills. Like you said, bailout is a perfect term here. It was an absolute disaster for Ryu Fury in this mid lane, but after that, he's feeling good.
He'll be feeling great after that one, there's no doubt about it. And it must be a sense of frustration for Harry to see that his jungler's craving the attention, calling for his first move, and he's there. But then the flash from them both to try and secure the kill, and that turtle, once again, just too good.
Yeah, too many times will teams learn that Udyr is nigh unkillable. Harry, very low himself, looking to come over here with the initial play. But it's this bait here from Invictus, the double W, providing it just enough survivability to bait the members of Team Bliss in. And also, shout out to Kurak here for a nice roam, right? He almost goes down in the initial bot lane play that we saw before, but wastes no time, and actually he's dead.
He is dead.
So I have cursed him, skimming, but it was a nice play there on that roam to come up and help secure that kill off the back end of that play. We can see Why Not coming out of that replay has clearly found Kurak and will now find the dragon as well.
He certainly will. To your point from the replay, it was just phenomenal timing, right? With the fact of reload resetting, a chance for them to then freely rotate into the mid lane and see what they can find, and certainly a sign of a good support when those plays are first of all found, but also then capitalized on. But to Why Not's credit, you have to only imagine that it's a Bard doing Bard things, sees a meep in enemy territory and thinks, I could take that one. I'm far too quick, these Swifty boots. But gets caught out in no man's land. Well, let's see what that does in terms of impacting this jungle matchup, because now Invictus' chance to try and make things happen as the Re-Fury goes on in, shuffles over the shockwave, would you believe it? And then denies Harry for the second time, despite being down so many waves of CS.
Very nice maneuver there from Ryu Fury to dodge the shockwave. Yes, he's down so much CS, but he's actually trading quite nicely into this Orianna. You can see now HP bar advantage. As here we go, we take a look at what happens to Kurak here. Unfortunately, steps a bit too far forward. Why Not's in the area at the right time? And they actually almost let him get out here. This looks like it takes a while here, given we remember Viego was the one who came out with the Bard's Soul. So it will just be a little bit of a wild goose chase, but ultimately ends up going down.
It feels in a way there from Violet thinking, am I getting given this kill? Or are we just taking our sweet time with taking him down? Ultimately, Why Not will be quite happy to get himself back in business and get himself to that Blade of the Rune King as quickly as he possibly can. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, level 6 is there now, so Violet certainly can be fairly aggressive, but the Train of Corruptions has already been burnt. He's going to stem the aggression in the straight 2v2 for the meantime, as Scott is standing on a ward. So the vision control, or the wall control, is not going to be anywhere near as prevalent as it would be otherwise, of him just trying to threaten a hook, because they'll completely know what he's up to. But I think top lane is probably the only area of the map that he's not really talked about. It's been the quietest.
Yeah, exciting stuff. There's a 3 CS lead for Woodon right here in this Na'Vi versus K'Sante matchup. Basically not really expecting much to come out of this until, either the jungler or support decides to come up and fight for the grubs. But bot lane here, you can see both junglers have identified that this is really where the action is going to unfold, as a hook almost finds Invictus actually in that bush there. But it's about this wave. You can see the Kanga want to get this one under the turret. They want to crash it. And they do have the red-white guns on Ophalia, so kind of the best guns that you want to have if a melee was about to break out. And Invictus just here to hover to make sure that jungle that goes in without any jungle interference.
Certainly does mean, and I'm sure Bliss are fully aware of this one. First of all, knowing that their jungler's not in the area, but the fact that Kanga are playing so aggressively would certainly speak volumes. Would give away that something is a little bit fishy here, as Re-Fury is going to plant some vision of his own in the top side of that river. And he's going to get shielded then by Invictus pathing back up to his aid. Now, Why Not's managed to sneak himself in here? They have no idea with the top half of that map completely lit up red in favor of Bliss. Not going to find anything here for the meantime. He's going to peel away to his own Raptors, but Void Grubs are threatening. And with Kurak on the roam, it may just be Kanga favored.
Crucially, he will get spotted, and Bliss's jungle and support are also here to match. The big difference maker will really be whether these solo laners can come down and impact this fight. You can see Woodon's Mega is timing out right now. Why not wants to find something for Invictus, but he's very tanky and very slippery.
Certainly is. Void Grub's taken away, and Invictus securing it with the smite from afar is saying, well, that's one for us. Certainly be happy about that one, but how many can be taken by the rest of Bliss? Simply just the very last one, so the spoil share between both teams. No chance for a Void Might here today.
More of a denial than anything from the side of Bliss there, making sure that 5 or 6 isn't going to come through to the side of Kanga. As meanwhile, we check back in with top lane. A little bit more of a CS lead accrued for Woodon here. He's having a nice time in this matchup. This matchup basically just gets better as the game goes on. Nah gets more range, he gets more mobility, gets more items. He really does become a threat who can actually damage this Cassante, who otherwise is an incredibly tanky champion. And mid lane is somewhat equalized a little bit. You know, Ryu Fury is still at the hands of Hayuri whenever he wants to take those trades, but at least in terms of CS and gold, it's not the worst thing in the world here. We'll go back to base and TP back just in time for Dragon to spawn.
Certainly will. That'll be the next major focus, given that Bliss got the very first one under wraps. They'll be certainly quite keen to try and force a fight, especially now knowing that the National Sooth has been complete by Ryu Fury, but that's not to second guess that with Why Not having picked up the Kraken Slayer, he certainly packs a punch as well. It does feel like Bliss just have that slight extra bit of damage. And I do feel like the top laners will be the difference maker here, whether or not they feel like they need to burn that teleport or not. Both would be certainly craving a reset back to base, sitting on only really completed boots and a sword or a cloth armor to boot too. But it looks like Kanga to start things off, and it's on Vision, and the hook goes out, so Scott's there to follow, the portal's there, but he can't reach it. The CC is just too much to bear.
A nice CC chain there from Team Bliss. They don't allow Kurak to get towards that portal, instead just one-shotting him where he stands, and that should be enough. You can see the TP expended to top lane for Biopanther kind of signals that they feel confident in this, taking the Dragon, and Ryu Fury's been found.
He certainly has been found. Scott's done his job. Whoa. What a scoop with his last breath there. Ryu Fury tries to make it happen, but it's too early in the game. The damage doesn't really matter, but it doesn't really seem to change much, because Invictus just drive-bys into the mid lane and says, thanks for the scoop, I'll pick up. I am the carry.
Selfless play there from Ryu Fury. Sacrifices his flash right before he goes down to get that scoop that enables Invictus to pick up the kill. But meanwhile, it's a second Dragon going over, and Hayuri is really the big benefactor of this play, because he's up 30 CS now, he's up some plates as well, and this Orianna is quickly turning into a problem.
Certainly is. It's the makings of a very scary champion, just slowly getting stronger by the second. You can see with that chapter already there, and with the tier working its way to becoming a fully stacked up one. The Ceres will be a bit of a reality very shortly. You can see with the most gold in the game, Harry is certainly in a very comfortable position. Lane dominance has definitely been his best friend despite dying in that straight 2v2. But Violet not too far behind, and is definitely doing what is required of the lethality Varus.
Yeah, Violet quietly achieving 150 CS to his name now, just posted up in this mid lane. Kind of the ideal position for a Varus, right? Able to poke out whoever comes, has so much range, he can walk towards these top lane objectives as well, like they're looking at now. Hayuri has just based, but does have the teleport if he wants to join. Just completed the Archangels. He's very strong right now, and that TP will be enough for Kanga to back off, at least for the moment.
Certainly will be. Biopanther zoned away from the top side now. Flash hook. There's Scott jumping on in, looking for the fight. Fantastic. Tempered Fate zones them around as they come out. Invictus drops the Phoenix Flames and procs the combustion to burst them into a fear of fire. But the shockwave, it's so overkill, but it's enough to get the kill in the end. So they found 2 so far. They've only lost their support in the process. They've traded up beautifully, and then Why Not realizes that you're a little bit too slippery on that bar, gets baited by the allure of a potential bar portal. Kurak stands still and just resigns himself to death, and somehow Woodon is in Africa here, surrounded by 2 very low members, but is unable to take Biopanther down with him.
What a chaotic fight there.
And
Why
another
not
one.
just off the back end picks up 2 kills as well. So this Viego now an absolute menace, working his way around the perimeter of fights. But I'm sure we'll get a replay of that eventually. It all starts off with that hook that goes really far on towards Wudon on that Gnar. Unfortunately not the target that you're wanting, and it's a nice Tempered Fate. But crucially, the Mega Gnar ultimate is used before the Tempered Fate comes out. And we can see this again. You can see Bipanther just zoning up towards the top side. Scott, I think, is aiming for Ryu Fury here. Unfortunately, finds Wudon. That Tempered Fate is huge, but look at where the Mega Gnar ulti is used. It's only onto the Nautilus, so yes, Scott falls down, but suddenly Why Not is able to get onto your backline. And once that happens, he really just runs amok here, drawing the attention of Kurak, who he takes quite a while to run down, but eventually will find. And off the back end, Ryu Fury trying to kill him as well, ends up going down. So this Viego 5th pick working out very well in the favor of Team Bliss.
It certainly is. Feels nice to see a 5th pick find some level of success. He jumps through the portal, says hello to Reef here, and then just drops the hammer and gets it done with his very last breath. Unbelievable right there. I think the biggest tragedy of it all for me, Max, was the fact that the bot lane of Kanga overlapped their ultimates together. The Moonlight Vigil doing absolutely nothing, and you cannot afford for that to happen, or you will be severely punished. Well, Team Bliss with a 3,000 gold lead. Break open the mid lane, finally finding their very first turret, only 17 minutes into this one, and you'd say are sitting pretty in this game, given they've got 2 dragons already, and they've got the 3rd one to look forward to in just under 60 seconds now.
Yeah, sitting absolutely pretty as well. They have the Rift Herald in their inventories to break down a further turret whenever they please. Really good spots across the board here. The Archangel's first item for Hayri, just to provide a fair bit of survivability in those longer lanes. We know that often when you have an Azir into Orianna matchup, you do want to target that because of the shuffle that you can always have when that Orianna has no flash. But you can see Why Not walking up with him, making sure that no member is left isolated. And will now head down towards this dragon to set it up for what could be a sole point for Team Bliss.
So it could be, and it might be that final nail in the coffin already so early into the game. So much so that objective bounties do favor Kanga now. As you can see, Invictus is threatening that in the top lane with Harry making the slow run back. Ever so patient. He's going to get a nasty surprise as that spell shield is instantly broken. And he realizes that he's not got anywhere really to turn. Left, right, and center, they're all on his head. A self-cast of the Shockwave is not going to pack the punch he's hoping for. And the bounty will be claimed.
Nice window there by Kanga. So that's very smart play to actually get to the position that they were. You can see that ward in the Tribe Rush would have spotted off, you know, your typical diving routes. So Hayri kind of has this illusion of safety that baits him into walking up while his team's a dragon. And this Orianna, yes, she's very strong, but can't really do much against 3 members without flash. So getting these kills onto Azir is incredibly important, and a nice little capitalization there from Kanga.
Certainly is. It's been a bit of a messy game here for Reef Fury, but we know what he's capable of on this champion. Very selfless at the best of times, especially on this one. Making sure that if he goes down, he's going down swinging. And to tell you, looking at this one, it looks like Bliss are very much in the lead, given that they do have those 3 dragons, but it's certainly a case for Kanga to answer back with some clever maneuvers of their own. They've got so much mobility in this team that all it really will take is a case of just catching out a few more members to balance the books again.
Yeah, this Bard is able to make up for a lot of the movement deficit that Udyr has, right? He's kind of unable to get over walls by himself, but thanks to the Magical Journey, he can really take some creative paths that you wouldn't expect from an Udyr. Now, speaking of creative paths, Team Bliss have taken one to defend Hayri down bottom.
Certainly have. Shockwave on his head, and Reef Fury goes on down. One up becomes the Azir and shuffles through the wall to deter any more members of Kanga deciding to be aggressive and step up and staunch them out of taking his bot tier 1. Which they will certainly confirm is going their way. And with the aid of a teammate, everything a little bit stronger now as he's able to make things happen. Mid lane note, we do see the bot duos deciding to plant themselves here. And with nothing provided to shove it out, he's just on priority duties. I tell you what, Bliss are not content with finding 1 tower, they go for 2.
Yeah, I mean, Ryu Fury's still dead, right? You may as well. He does have the TP, but won't have it up in time to be able to actually defend that turret, and that's a huge gold injection, right? Those outer turrets are so valuable. If you get one onto a carry like they just did onto that Orianna and Viego, it really can spike them ahead in the gold, and we can see that now. Almost 9,000 gold for this mid-jungle of Bliss. They are sitting very far ahead of everyone else in this game. And it really shows them what they've been able to produce in these team fights so far.
Yeah, nobody really holds a candle to them at this stage, do they? It's a bit of a divide, a fairly big gap between them and even the rest. I mean, even Violet's still 1,000 gold behind his teammates, so it shows just how far ahead they are. And despite that first blood going against them, I mean, it's just the measure in which they bounce back, which really paints the picture as why they deserve to be our first seed.
Just such a formidable opponent in every single role. The way they move around the map is so well rehearsed as well. You can see bring multiple members up as the Chains of Corruption have found Woodon.
Maybe that's not the one you want there, Weiner. As we compliment him, he suddenly goes in and actually gets himself in a very precarious situation. He's going to dash away to safety. He tries to hit the fadeaway stun to help out his teammate. Locked inside a Tempered Fate. Good flash to dodge out that Moonlight Vigil. Into the shadows he goes again, clawing back out to find that reset. But it's a double for Hayri, who gets the job secured. And with the Baron on their doorstep, you wonder if they'd entertain it. Weiner is ever so low.
He's really low, but he has this Cassante who can take up the Baron for him, as well as, you know, the inbuilt sustain that Viego has in his kit. And it looks like Kanga are acknowledging that they just have to give this Baron. It's a big swing of a team fight, and ultimately those 2 kills are enough to secure the Baron for Team Bliss. They might want to look at Ryu Fury too.
Certainly will go from the shockwave on his head. No chance to even hit that flash button there, Max. It's going to come in a little bit too little, too late. Beautifully executed there by Bio. Not going to get shoved away by that Emperor's Divide. Pixel perfect.
Once again, Ryu Fury looking for something that gets punished. But let's take a look at this initial play, because Why Not takes the Hex Gate a little bit deep there to start the play off. Meanwhile, Woodon is flash ulting Violet into the wall, and Kurak has a nice Tempered Fate to buy some time. But ultimately it's not enough once Fire Panther rocks up. This Cassante is just immovable at this stage. But he is very capable of moving enemy members, and that's exactly what he does there, to be able to find those 2 kills and find the Baron.
I think what's quite impressive from that one is the lack of panic out of Why Not's play there, given that he was caught after going through the Hex portal, and he's able just to ult to safety, and at the very last moment it's looking like a foregone conclusion that he's going to fall on down, dodge out the ult, dodge out the Narbrick with the flash away to safety. Good heads-up play, good confidence, as they'll continue now to march their authority straight through the mid lane. They've already got 4 towers, soon to be 5, as the tier 2 and mid falls on down. And ever so strong is their pressure that they can actually afford to go for a 1-3-1.
1-3-1 with Violet by himself nonetheless. That's how much confidence they have in their lead so far. You can see wherever this Nautilus is, it's so scary, because a single hook at this stage, no matter who he's near, is almost certainly a death, especially with how fed this Orianna is in mid-wave. It's going to be a 3-man push. The Chains of Corruption missed.
Going out, but the Shockwave gets its job done to start off the fight. Tempered Fate only onto Scott, not what you're looking for. There's a deep TP they could have flanked to near the Wolf camp, but decide to try and fight a fight head on in the mid lane, defending that inhibitor turret. But ultimately, the Baron just too powerful to get past.
The Baron's too powerful, and so is the Shockwave, finding 2 members there and just obliterating those squishy health bars. This Orianna, it makes it so hard for anyone on Kanga to actually walk up into effective range, right? When you're always worried about the threat of a Shockwave coming through, you have to position so much more carefully. And already with the amount of threats that are present on Team Bliss, there is just so much to look out for here. Death Cap going to be completed for Hayri as he completes his 3rd item there. Just incredible strength, incredible damage all across the board here for Team Bliss.
Really is. It's a monumental item lead at this point, as to be expected given the state of this game, from Baron into Hextech Soul into 8,000 of a gold lead. They are once again showcasing what it looks like when a comp can fall behind in the early stages, but then bounce back with a vengeance. And to have Violet able to solo lane is a bit of a testament to that fact alone. Out goes the Cosmic Biting, the Chain of Corruptions hits an absolute airball. As in comes Woodon. Fantastic preemptive flash to dodge out from Violet there as he pops the Ghost and looks for the resets to keep that uptime going. Finds one, the rest of his team join on in and take 2 for themselves as well. As Kurik goes through one portal, he dives to another. The rest of the Team Bliss then use that as safe passage to then continue their aggression with only Rila left alive, full HP. He's got nowhere left but to run and hide.
Run and hide it is for Rila, and it looks like that might be the case for Kanga as well. Team Bliss find a fight off the back of Woodon, looking for a pick. Moonlight Vigil will come out, but it won't do anything to these health bars. They find Reeler, they find the hook, they take him down. They're taking in the Nexus turret, and they're looking to close out game 1.
But they certainly are, Max. 25 minutes on the dot. They've got it done in convincing fashion in the end. Kurek being cute with it in the fountain, dodging out hooks and baiting their attention to see if their KDA can get ruined. But they won't be deterred. The shove will not scoop them back into the base, and the game will come to a close as Team Bliss get the 1-0 lead.
Dominance from Bliss from start to finish. They really are the caliber of team who deserves to be at the top of our region. Kanga not really left with much. They look for a pick here and there, but every single time it is Bliss who answer back.
Well, Bliss are the team to beat right now, and we'll have to see right after this break if Kanga can do just that. You can rotate over quicker, and Invictus is so low, flashing for the auto attack. The shield is deceiving, the tunnel is good, and Harry's gonna fall on down Re-Fury for what was such a poor laning phase. By now, flash hook, there's Scott jumping on in, looking for the fight. Fantastic tempered fate, zones him around as they come out. Invictus drops the